You guys are listening to the SpeakInC.O.A.D podcast. I am your host, C.O.A.D, aka Conspiracy of a Deadman. I am going to introduce to you, coming to the ring, standing 6'7.5", 324.5 pounds. He is the reigning, defending, super heavyweight champion of the podcasting world, Teddy Bear Dynamite. I thought you were going to do your growl.
Yeah, he didn't do nothing.
I needed the crowd to go wild.
Yeah, they're going wild. All right. And now, coming to the ring, standing 6'5.75", weighing in at 225 pounds. He is the mi gente, the Chente, the homie.
What's up, y'all?
And like I said before, these are my hosts and co-hosts, and we are about to bring you guys surprisingly, the third episode of this podcast. I think we were able to save the second episode. I have no idea how. If not, this is going to be 2.1, 2.5?
2.2.
2.2 and a half. Yeah, it's the second. So I thought it was going to be something around those lines.
That's why I went 2.2. It's the second episode.
Yeah, we already did the first episode. So now we're doing the second episode. But hopefully the other upload actually works, and this will be episode 3. We're going to talk about predictive programming. We're going to talk about some events that might have happened in the past, and they kind of predicted what we were going to be doing and what was going to be happening with the state of the country, with the state of people in general.
Simpsons did it.
The Simpsons did it all. Another thing we're going to talk about is we're going to get into weather control, and we're going to tie some of that stuff together, and then we will we'll go from there. But right now, anything you guys want to mention or bring to our attention at the moment?
At the moment, for me, no.
Okay. What about you, Chente?
Not at the moment. I think it'll all fall into place.
For sure.
For me to just drop stuff in.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off with something that came up to our attention recently, and it was pretty insane. I was just YouTubing predictive programming, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is interesting. It came up as an old wrestling game that I used to play, and I know TBD used to use this or play this game as well. But just the weird circumstances and weird incidences, I thought this was kind of cool. In November 2005, the WWE Raw vs. SmackDown 2006 game dropped. November 2005. Okay. In November 13th, 2005, Eddie Guerrero, the Latino Heat, passed away suddenly. I think in his sleep, or I think waking up or something, and he ended up having a heart attack or something when he was
sleeping in a hotel room.
Yeah. So in the Raw vs. SmackDown 2006 video game, they have Eddie Guerrero fighting your pretty much, you have your created character, and the story mode is Eddie takes the urn from the Undertaker, which controls him, and you as the character swap the urn so he thinks he has a fake one. And that, anyway, they pretty much want Eddie Guerrero to lose in the match. You're pretty much helping Eddie Guerrero lose to the Undertaker in a coffin match or a buried alive match. And it just was very interesting that I was like, oh wow, this happened. They had this already done, but then all of a sudden he ends up dying and ends up being in the coffin. And then the other one was same exact situation 2 years later. The Chris Benoit situation happens, where he ends up. So November 10th, 2006, the Raw vs. SmackDown 2007 game is released, and then in June 24th, 2007, Benoit ends up killing his family and taking his life. He ends up taking his life, but then in that game, he ends up fighting the Undertaker, and losing to him the exact same way, I think. But the monologue and the dialogue between the Undertaker and Chris Benoit, he pretty much tells him, "You're pretty much going to, your family is going to regret this, and they're going to suffer for this." And it just was like, dang, that was like such a weird, dark thing that happened
Yes.
all around that same time frame. Like I kind of remember that, but I mean, it was just that was so long ago too. I didn't really remember, like, so to speak, for that whole like situation and stuff. So I thought that was just kind of a fun one to kind of start with the predictive programming, especially like the wrestling stuff. That's kind of why I started this episode as that's why I kind of started this episode as like introducing everybody to the ring. Hopefully nobody dies the same way that Chris Benoit or Eddie Guerrero happens by any means.
Well, the way you work me in the gym, who knows? My heart may explode.
Let's hope not. We'll bring an EpiPen. No, I'm kidding. You're like, that doesn't work like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did you used to play those games at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I remember that game. Yep. I already used to play those wrestling games like religiously.
Cool.
I remember what you're talking about too.
And then I was also going to bring up, like, let me see if this works. Hopefully this works and it doesn't cancel out. Yeah, it looks like it's still in there. So the predictive programming, if you look up the definition, I'm just going to give like a brief, I'm not doing this whole damn definition, but predictive programming is the theory that the government or higher ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool to make the population more accepting of a planned future events. So on that note, that's where we're going to kind of talk about. I think even with the symbolism and stuff too, I thought that was kind of interesting how there's certain things that happen in movies or TV shows that we're not even sure about until the actual thing happens later, and then people all of a sudden start to remember, oh man, I swear I saw a movie that had this exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I remember they were talking about shots, and they were talking about a sickness that was going to go through an entire population, and there was all these things about like controlling the population and population control and downsizing and all that stuff. I'm not really trying to use too many words that will get the channel or the show cut off or anything, but just in case. But did you ever see the show on Netflix called the O.A.?
No, I have not.
What about you, Chente?
A little bit.
Okay.
Mostly just just little clips here and there. But they had a flu, right?
No, they didn't have a flu. They had to do this weird like witchcraft thing to like transport to a different dimension. So that's what was kind of cool too, was with that show. They showed that it was almost like a multiverse show.
Okay.
So this girl was in this dimension. She ends up, I don't even remember exactly how it happened, but she ends up going missing.
Okay.
And you're like, where were you? Like, how did you get here? And there was like a sequence of like 5 people. There was like 5 or 6 people in the show, and they had to do a certain sequence with their hands and breathing techniques and all this stuff for everything to align to transport all of the people from that dimension to another dimension inside of their own bodies in the next dimension, but they had different lives.
Almost sounds Mandela effect-ish.
No, not quite Mandela effect. Like, oh yeah, yes, exactly. Sorry, I don't know why I was like, no. I'm like, you are 100% correct. I don't know why I said no. But with this show, there was an episode, I think it was in the 2nd season, where the girl is in the hospital. Okay. And I think the show aired in like 2020 or like early 2020, or it might have happened even prior to that. Like I know that Netflix didn't take them up on like a 3rd season, but they ended up getting a cult following later on. So the show might have actually recorded in like 2016.
Okay.
And then all this stuff unfolded. But I remember one of the scenes was the girl asks, she wakes up from a coma. She's in a bed and she wakes up in the hospital. And the nurse goes, "Do you know where you are?" And the girl goes, she goes, "No, I don't know where I am. She was trying to figure that out and stuff." And with the show, anyway, long story short, the girl is in the hospital, right? And she's waking up from a coma, and they ask her, they're like, "Do you know who the president is today? Or who the president is?" And she goes, "Yeah, the president's Barack Obama." And the nurse goes, "Who is that?" And she's like, the president of the United States. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, "No, the president is Joe Biden." And they show a scene of Joe Biden giving a speech on TV as president, and it's him in the video. And
Really?
you're like, "What the heck is this?" Yes. So that's kind of like predictive programming, where like they're almost showing you what's going to happen. So not even to talk about like the election or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to get canceled today, but they pretty much in the show that Joe Biden was already president, even though like he wasn't, and even in that series and stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting how that all like kind of
Worked out.
yeah, and played out and stuff too. So and then do you have any movies or well, TV shows? Do you want to explain to TBD? Because I don't know if he's kind of learning all this stuff as we go, right?
Yes.
Today. So like right before we started this episode, I'm like, I think we're gonna do predictive programming, and he's like, I don't know what that is. So as we were waiting for you to get back from your appointments and stuff, he was I was having him watch a couple videos on predictive programming and stuff like that. But do you mind filling him in on some of the ones that you know about, especially
Yeah, man.
especially The Simpsons?
Yeah. So mostly everyone's a big fan of The Simpsons, right? Is that to agree? Everyone knows about them.
Yes.
So there was you know how there's a thing going on there where they like predicted pretty much every big event in like the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, I've been seeing all of that.
Yeah. So there was an episode. It was called I'm trying to think of it. Oh, the City of New York versus Homer Simpson. It was like season. Well, no, let's go even further. First one was season 4. I think it was like episode 12. It was Marge versus the monorail.
Okay.
So there's like they get into, I don't know if it's like a bar or a club or something, and then there's this couple dancing, but in the background of that, they're covering up a picture, but it's a building with smoke coming out of it, and it looks like the Twin Towers, you know?
Oh, okay.
What's coming out of it, and I have pictures that I'll probably give to you code to upload to Discord, or I can throw it in there.
Okay.
With that. And so that speaks on it, which was obviously, that was like season 4, I don't know, it was like in the 90s, 93 maybe, 94.
Yeah, that's like way back there, huh?
Yeah. And then season 9, episode 1, Simpsons had, that was the City of New York versus Homer. And that's when Lisa had a New York, like brochure or magazine. And it said New York on the top, then $9 with a big 9. And then the Twin Towers in the background, just after the 9, so it looks like 9/11. And that showed for just real quick. So that was in there. And then, that's a big one actually, like, no plane or anything, but it was there.
Okay.
They predicted Trump winning the election, and there was like a whole scene of him coming down an escalator, maybe like in a mall or something. Someone behind him's holding a sign, and like it falls. That was in the cartoon before the election, like way before.
So he's coming down the elevator, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole
the
floor
escalator.
above, or yeah, escalator, and there's a whole floor above him, and
People
they're holding a
just
sign
want there
over
to
the
see him.
banister, and that's what drops, and it drops
then-
the exact same way.
Yeah, and then there's a real video of him going down an escalator. Someone's holding a sign or whatever in the back, and then it drops as well, just like in the fucking show.
That is crazy.
Which is, yeah, that's a crazy coincidence, man. But you can dig into The Simpsons all you want, but are you a fan of The Matrix?
Yes, I am.
All right, so Neo, I think it was in the first Matrix, his license, or is it his license or his passport? That expires on September 11th, 2001. That, I mean, it could be, I guess, a coincidence, maybe like 5 years out, whatever.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Not really. But that's a big one for me because that's a oddly specific date.
Now I have to go back and pay more attention when I rewatch it.
Yeah, The Matrix. So, speaking of predictive programming,
So I posted this to the Discord and stuff too in one of the telegrams, but this is kind of interesting. It almost kind of touches on predictive programming. Same with a little bit with like numerology as well.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna send you this too. This is a guy named Look Up Into the Sky, Ireland, but that's like his name on Instagram. But that's somebody that's interesting to follow. I'll come back to that and touch base on that too. Yeah, so the predictive programming portion of it, I was gonna mention. It was like I have the video and I have the video on the Discord and on the Telegram. But it's pretty much like Kyrie Irving is number 11. He was born at 111 on January 11th, and like he scored, I think he finally scored his 11,000th point on March 11th. His dad played at Boston College and was like number 11. It was like 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. And it was like, man, are we in the Matrix? Like, is this the predictive programming, or is this more or less like simulation? Because like the 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, yeah, like all that type of stuff. So I'm like, what the heck is going on?
We need to learn to read binary code.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll be like in the Matrix, or we'll be already in the simulation and don't know what's going on. The other one I wanted to talk about too was, have you ever heard of the movie Utopia?
That's the one. That's the one with. I saw your notes. That's the one with the flu.
Yes, and John Cusack.
Yeah, they had the flu, and then they had oh my god, like a natural disaster too, like fire, like Australia.
Okay.
Like we, right?
I'm not too sure. Maybe. So what I was gonna tell you was that the show, they started filming in 2018, but they ended up getting bought out by, was it HBO? Or HBO Prime bought it out, right?
Prime bought it out.
Yeah, so Prime ended up buying it out and released it in 2020, like September 2020. But it's a movie on Prime with John Cusack and Rainn Wilson, the Dwight Schrute guy from The Office, and it's called Utopia. And long story short, he's sitting there in a room, duct taped. He's got duct tape all over him, like they're trying to hold him, they're trying to contain him. And these people were like talking to him about what did he start, what did he do, and he goes, and he's telling like this Indian doctor guy or Indian guy, your father created this perfect like shot, pretty much. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, is it because of this virus or this sickness that's out there? And the guy's like, no, it's not because of that. We put this thing in the shot. And they go, so what the heck is that going to do? And he goes, when you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life, and pretty much like downplaying them and talking crap to them, like, you guys don't do anything with your lives. All you do is watch TV and movies, and you're onto your whatever social media type stuff. He's like, we put something in the shot that has X, Y, and Z in it. And this guy that was talking to him about his dad, the Indian guy, is like, what are you talking about? Why would you guys put that in there? He goes, that's not even, he's like, the sickness wasn't even an issue. He goes, what you guys are giving everybody, he goes, that's like a first world problem. He goes, people are like, I want to be the first one to get this. That way I could be safe. And this way I could not have this issue anymore. And he pretty much said that inside of this shot, they have something to stop the
sterilize the next 3 generations.
yeah, it will sterilize the next 3 generations. So it pretty much stops people from being able to have kids. So I was just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. How this came out, they created the show in 2018, and then in 2020, it was released, and you're like, this could be exactly how everything's going today. So the other one, too, was like, you ever heard of Event 201?
No. Elaborate.
What about you, Chente?
I've heard of it, but I don't
Okay.
know.
So Event 201 took place, I think, in 2017 or 18.
Okay.
And it was a pre-plan to a pandemic. So just in case this happens, we're going to come up with a plan to make it so that way, if this does happen, we know what steps to take.
Yes.
To get our country out of here and all this stuff. They went along with, it was called Event 201, and all these world leaders joined up in this one location. I think like the UN or WHO, whatever, one of those things.
Okay.
And they explained to them, they were like, there's this new sickness that came out from a pig, and they're like, we need to make sure that we're able to spread this information to people correctly and pretty much explain what people need to do to get out of this situation.
Okay.
Whether it's quarantine, whether it's freaking social distancing, masking, all this other BS, whatever. So anyway, long story short, they pretty much, it was like the exact same thing that unfolded the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So with Event 201, it was a pre-plan to the sickness for everybody. So that's why they call it the plandemic.
Pandemic. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you'll hear people and they'll say, oh, they're conspiracy theorists and all this other stuff. But it's actually true. You can look it up, the video. You might be able to find it on YouTube still. But YouTube never banned it, never took it down, nothing like that. So it was never an issue. Same with Rumble and BitChute. You can find the entire video and like it's like a conference of what steps they took and what steps they need to do. So so from there, in 2016, Obama came out on stage. I had a video. I tried to look it up. I swear I downloaded it, and I don't have it anywhere. So I might have backed it up from my phone and just forgot to name it.
Okay.
But I'll look again. But I thought for sure I found it the other day or earlier this morning, and saved it, and it is no longer there. So I'm sure you guys have all seen this. If not, let me know, and I'll try to locate it somehow and upload it to one of the channels or something. But I'll definitely put it under predictive programming. But it was Obama in 2016 saying that we're going to have a pandemic.
Okay.
There's going to be a sickness. There's going to be something going on. And then right after that, it was Joe Biden saying we're going to have another pandemic. And then it was Bill Gates. And this is after the fact.
After the fact.
They're
Okay.
saying we got to get ready. So Biden said we're going to have another pandemic. Bill Gates is on a news channel talking with people saying we have to prepare for the second pandemic. So it's almost as if they're trying to program us to think that there's going to be a second one. And hopefully I'm not doing this. Hopefully I'm not playing into their role and like spreading this nonsense. Hopefully this doesn't happen. Hopefully we could kind of stop it ahead of time. But there's a video now that they have. It's called a catastrophic contingent event. That's the name of this new event that they have. So instead of Event 201, they have one called the catastrophic contingent event. And there's a video on Rumble, and I am almost certain it's on BitChute too, but it's called Get Ready. You can't really find the video by just searching Get Ready. You're going to have to probably search like catastrophic contingent event. But it plans to attack children and young people. So it's just very interesting how there's already this event that's taking place.
Yes.
You know, Event 201 happened 4 years or 3 years or whatever, 2 years before ours. that's going on currently or done now, hopefully. But then this one is happening, and I think they're planning for event. What is it called? Do you remember the other one, Agenda 2030?
Yeah.
Because there was Event 201 and Agenda 20,
2030.
2023, I think.
Okay.
Or it might be Agenda 2030, and then there's like an Agenda 2050. So there's going to be catastrophic events
Every so many years.
Yeah, and it's almost going to be like they're released on purpose. That's my own personal opinion. That's
Are
what
all these events going to be kind of like how COVID was, or it's going to like vary?
I think it will happen like I don't know. I have no idea. We'll have to watch the video.
Okay.
The video might tell us exactly what to plan
Tell
for
us more.
because we could predict. If you watch these videos, you'll be able to predict what's going to happen.
Gotcha.
So as long as we get on those areas,
Is this one? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
It says get ready. Gates, John Hopkins, who and simulated another pandemic. Catastrophic. On Rumble. Catastrophic contingent.
Yeah,
That's with Bill Gates, Johns Hopkins.
That's probably it.
Thought for today. One cannot and must not try and erase the past merely because it does not fit the present.
Thank you for checking out SpeakInCOAD Episode 3, Part 1. We broke this one up into 2 parts just because we ran a little long. But please follow us at SpeakInCOAD on Instagram. We have a Discord. You can hit me up anytime on there. DM, post, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. You can hit us up on our socials. You can look up Teddy Dynamite, or you could also hit up Chente in the Discord. Feel free to DM him. I hope you guys like this episode, and part 2 of part 3 will be up next. Thank you.